Moving on to the liver, which is also an accessory organ. Reddish brown in color. It's a large organ, upper right quadrant of the abdominal cavity. So if you're looking inside of your body, your stomach's going to be a little bit further to the left. The liver takes up a large portion on the right, a little bit more to the right and center. The liver itself has a right and left side, or right and left lobes. A capsule encloses the entire liver. Each of these lobes is separated into hepatic lobules, which is just a smaller lobe. And then these, remember, anytime you see hepatic, hepato, that deals with liver. So obviously made up of hepatic cells, and they come from a central vein. Hepatic sinusoids separate groups of hepatic cells. So basically they just are kind of like a space that separates them. Hepatic portal vein, kind of back into your blood unit. Blood from the hepatic portal vein carries blood rich in nutrients to the liver. A lot of people eat liver. It is very nutritious. There's a lot of protein. It's very good for you to eat, like beef liver and things like that. This nutrient-rich blood then passes from the sinusoids into the vein, and then it exits through the hepatic vein. Kupffer cells are phagocytic cells. They eat up and get rid of things, so they carry on phagocytosis in the liver. And then here, getting more of our digestive part of it, secretion from these hepatic cells are collected in bile canals, and they become your hepatic duct, and then that common hepatic duct is the largest duct of all of them. Looking at the diagram, you can kind of see, notice the right lobe is larger than the left lobe. If I look over here, you can kind of see where everything enters and empties into the same area. So here's the hepatic vein. So here is where blood is going back to the heart. Here's the hepatic artery where it's coming to feed the liver. And then here is the gallbladder that's found. This is going to store bile. Your liver makes bile. Your gallbladder stores it. And then it's going to empty into the bile duct that's going to leave the liver. Microscopic, basically, probably the only thing I want to point out here is here are these little sinusoids, which are kind of like canals or empty areas that give space in between all of your cells that are inside of your liver. And here's just a closer picture. So function. The liver is a large organ, and it is very important. It does a lot of different things. Responsible for much of your metabolic activity, metabolism of carbohydrates, lipids, proteins. Bile, when I think bile, I think more of breaking down of like fats and proteins and carbohydrates. It stores glycogen, which is a very simple form of sugar. Vitamins A, D, and B12. Iron, it stores iron. That's another reason people eat liver. It's very high in iron content. Here again, it's very good for you. It synthesizes, so it makes lipoproteins, phospholipids, and cholesterol. Here again, has a lot to do with fats. Lipoproteins, fatty proteins, phospholipid, lipid phosphates, and then your cholesterol. And like I said, when I think of bile, I think of breaking down fats. People who have issues with their liver sometimes don't break down fats very well, or fatty food will bother them. It converts carbohydrates and proteins to fat. Deaminates, gets rid of some of the nitrogen, is what that means, from the amino acids. helps to form urea, it makes plasma proteins, clotting factors, and like I said, the liver is a very important organ. Besides a digestive accessory organ, it does a lot of things on its own. Filters blood. It helps to filter blood, removes damaged red blood cells, foreign substances, removes toxins. This is where those phagocytic cells are very important. They're going to get rid of these things. Toxins, people who are alcoholics or drug users, if you ever get to see a cadaver, which our class will be going shortly, a liver that has cirrhosis or cirrhosis of the liver, you can just tell that instantly. Very common in people who are alcoholics and things like that. The liver is overused and it's not good for the liver. The liver's role specifically in digestion is to secrete bile. And bile has a greenish color. So if you've ever dissected any kind of organism, that greenish color, the gallbladder will be green, and sometimes that kind of seeps into other areas of the liver. Here's just a table, kind of summarizes all of those functions of the liver. So when we look specifically at bile, like I said, it's a greenish color. I would say more green than yellow. It's a liquid. These hepatic cells produce it. Bile itself contains a lot of water. It's a liquid. Bile salts, bile pigments, bilirubin and biliverdin. Verd, if you take Spanish, deals with green. Cholesterol and electrolytes. These pigments from bile are breakdown products from your red blood cells. And then the bile salts are the part that are very important when it comes to digestion. Gallbladder, kind of pear-shaped. It's a little sac. It's inside, interior, the surface of the liver. It's connected to a cystic duct, which is going to join your hepatic duct and the common bile duct. They're all, here again, going to lead into the front of your small intestine. There is a sphincter squeezing muscle that's going to regulate the release of bile. So in between meals, your gallbladder stores bile. It reabsorbs water to help concentrate that bile. And then after a meal, that contraction is going to release bile again into the duodenum. Typically, cholecytokinin is what's going to stimulate the gallbladder to produce, or release, I shouldn't say produce, to release the bile that is stored. Here again, sphincter muscle, the hepatopancreatic sphincter. So this is the largest duct. It contains the juices from your liver and your pancreas. That muscle remains contracted, which means it's closed, unless a peristaltic wave approaches it. Then it relaxes and it allows the bile and pancreatic juice to enter the small intestine. So here again, kind of a picture of that. Notice it's showing the gallbladder by itself. This is inside of the liver. Here's the cystic duct, comes straight from the gallbladder. It's going to empty with the one from your liver. Bile duct, pancreatic duct, here's where it's going to enter. Cholecytokinin is what's going to stimulate that release. And then it's going to produce bile. The sphincter muscle is going to open and it is going to let bile enter the small intestine. And like I said, bile is very important for fat digestion. So these salts, bile salts, are going to emulsify fats, break them apart into smaller droplets, and that's going to help your body to use these fats. Otherwise, your fat would not be digested very well. So it's going to help digest fatty acids, cholesterol, and fat-soluble vitamins. Water-soluble vitamins like vitamin C. You can take tons of vitamin C. It's not going to be stored in your body. It's going to be, all the extra will be released. It's not harmful. Fat-soluble vitamins can build up in your body, and you can overdose, and it can become toxic. So your liver, here again, toxins is important for breaking down all of those fat-soluble vitamins. Emulsification, breaking down, also allows lipase. Anything that ends with ACE is an enzyme. So lipase is an enzyme that breaks down fats. It's going to digest fat molecules. And that's where we'll stop with the liver.